Hi, my name is Jennifer Carrot. I'm here to do my PL 4002 practice interview. What drew you to the early childhood profession? I always was naturally drawn to young children. Growing up, I was the one to babysit when we had family friends over who had younger children. I have a very large family on either side and step family, and there were always just tons of us running around. Holidays, get togethers, backyard barbecues, just, a Saturday afternoon. And I always wanted to be with the younger ones and watch over them and care for them and nurture them. Children were naturally drawn to me, and I was always in high demand for babysitting once I was able to do so, which told me that children enjoyed being with me. Also, I loved school. I loved my teachers. I was very fortunate to have very nurturing and caring teachers when I was younger, and I just wanted to be like them. I had a large respect for teachers and the teaching profession. So after high school, I had to make a decision on what I was doing. I was offered a job with a daycare in town, and I thought that would be a lot of fun. I could do what I like doing and get paid for doing what I like. At the time, I had no idea how complex the field of early childhood education really was. And I know that now, but at the time, I just wanted to be with young kids and get paid for it. And that's really what drew me to it. I kept going because I really enjoyed watching them learn, the excitement they gained from learning. And I think that's why I stuck with it. So that's what drew me to it and why I stayed to begin with. What do you consider to be your chief responsibilities as an early childhood professional? Wow, there are so many responsibilities on a daily basis. Um, I think there's a few that stick out to me more than others. One of which is as a teacher, I'm responsible to create intentional lesson plans. They need to be culturally responsive, linguistically appropriate, developmentally appropriate. I need to use observation and assessment and documentation, all to gain better student outcomes. It's all about serving the children. I also need to keep children safe at all times. To me, that doesn't mean just with the physical classroom environment, such as like making sure there's safety plugs in the electrical outlets, or putting my bleach bottle up in a locked cupboard, or making sure that tall bookshelves are secured to the wall. It also means emotional safety. I want children to feel that they can branch out and try new things in my class, that it's okay to make a mistake if they're sad or if they are happy and want to share those emotions with me, that it is safe to do so, that they feel loved and secured within my classroom. I also believe it's my responsibility to advocate for not just students and families, but for the professional in general, for equity in the early childhood education profession and as a professional. I also believe that I need to be reflective in my practice. I can't grow and do better unless I am truly reflective. Something that's very important to me is to behave ethically at all times. I know that means different things to different people. For me, it means following the NAEYC Code of Conduct. I love it because it gives me a reason. I can explain to people why I do what I do. If there's a dilemma or conflict, I can use that code of conduct as a guideline for justification in what I want or don't want. Also, I think something that's really important is confidentiality, and that goes along with the ethics. Being a teacher, parents trust me to keep their information safe. Sometimes they tell me very sensitive things, and even if they don't, I keep their information safe. If I don't keep that confidentiality for them and their child, they will never trust me. And I won't be able to build a responsive reciprocal relationship with that family. I also think it's my duty ethically to be sensitive and respectful to families and their hardships and their trials. And I learned that the hard way when I was very young. It was a rough lesson for me, and I'm embarrassed in my own way of thinking, but it's something that has helped me grow and examine my own biases and why I reacted the way I did. I was very, very young. I hadn't been working in daycare long when the company I worked for placed me into a daycare classroom for the summer with young children of migrant families. I was frustrated there was a language barrier. My coworker in the classroom spoke very broken English. I had a hard time communicating with the parents. I had a difficult time communicating with the children. I didn't understand why these children didn't want to come to me in the morning when they were dropped off. I had never had that happen before. I thought maybe the parents just didn't like me. I really thought the problem was them. Fortunately for me, a colleague who was seasoned pulled me aside to talk to me and explained very respectfully that the problem wasn't the children and the families, that it was me. And she helped me to reflect on practices, and I just didn't understand about their lives. And she very kindly set up a meeting for her and I to meet with a social worker that worked with migrant families and had for a couple decades. And she explained to me the hardships that these families went through, the trauma that their families held, and the just how poorly that they'd been treated and the racism that they endured. And it really gave me a new understanding for learning that sensitivity, and I had empathy for this group as a whole and each individual family. And luckily that colleague met with me weekly for the rest of the summer, and I was able to grow as an educator. I was able to build better relationships with these families, all because of just learning to become sensitive and learning what that really meant and being reflective. So I think ethically, that's my job, to do those things, to become a better teacher, to learn and grow. So I think ever since then, I always learn about cultures of families in my class before I even go to their home to meet them the first time. And then I take the time to listen to them about their lives and their stories, because even within cultures, there's so many differences. So I think that may be one of my most important responsibilities, is to form those relationships and partnerships with families through that sensitivity, that empathy, that confidentiality, and everything that ethics code of conduct says I need to do. Question 3. What is the role of collaboration in professional practice? Address collaboration with other professionals as well as families. Again, I can't grow unless I am constantly learning, seeking out opportunities to learn. And one of the best ways that I can do that is through collaboration, not just with my coworkers and my supervisor, but other people in my field, specialists in my field, community members, and parents, especially parents. So I think that the exchange of ideas, the exchange of hardships and solutions and challenges helps me to learn and grow. And I also think it helps me to share my ideas with other people and what I've gone through, and hopefully I'm helping someone else. Recently, I was able to collaborate with a lot of people, and I was in parent meeting. I had a lot of parents show up, more than normal, and this group of parents really wanted to make a change to the way that my school and classroom does their transition ceremony, which is a native ceremony very similar to a preschool graduation. So a lot of things that these parents were suggesting were not developmentally appropriate for our students. It was not inclusive of all the students in our classroom. So I didn't feel that it was equitable, but I also very much respect these parents and wanting to bring their culture into our school. There were several tribes represented amongst these parents, and everybody had a little bit different idea how they wanted things to go based on their tribe. So what I did was ask to table the discussion, let the parents know that I really wanted to make this work for them, but I needed to speak with my supervisor first. I spoke with her and also asked a couple of elders within a tribe to meet with me. And we met together. I explained the situation. The elders gave me some great wisdom on how to approach this and explained, and something that I've also noticed and I know about the Native community I work with and that I've learned is that even if the community and the parents respect me as a teacher, which I feel they do, they more so respect elders whether they're from their tribe or not. So the elders agreed to come to the next meeting with me. They explained to the parents that I respected them as parents. They reiterated that for them. They let them know that I really wanted to incorporate these ideas, but that I had a responsibility to my students to make sure that things were developmentally appropriate and that they were inclusive. Parents listened to them very well, and they started brainstorming all these things that they could do that fell within the guidelines I needed to follow. And it was fantastic collaboration. They were asking me questions. I was asking them questions. What if we do this? What if we do that? How would you approach this? And by the time we left that meeting, we had an outline for a new transition ceremony, and it was fantastic. So I feel that that helped me to learn and grow about what these families needed and wanted. And I think that I learned new ideas just through collaboration with the parents, with my colleague, with community members that were really specialists in this area. Question 4, what strategies do you routinely utilize to ensure you are critically reflecting on your own growth as an early childhood professional? One thing I do is collaboration, and I think we just talked about that. I think that's really important for that growth. I also do professional learning, furthering my education right now, and I also take workshops outside of my bachelor degree courses. I research issues that are current events, current issues, research advocacy issues. I make sure that I stay up on policies. And all of that, I'm just constantly thinking and reflecting, how can I use these things to better myself in my classroom for better student outcomes? I really take time often to think about my own biases. If I get frustrated, why am I frustrated? Is that what within me? How did I grow up? What is my social background, my cultural background? What are my biases about this? Do I need to adjust the way I'm thinking in order to solve this frustration? Do I need to get outside help? I journal. And I know it sounds cliche, but I take time for self-care. It helps me when I have time to decompress, I can better serve the families in my care. When I first started in education, I did not understand the benefit of reflection. I was required by the state to take 15 hours of courses every year and took a workshop that was about reflection. And I thought, I don't know if I'm going to learn anything from this, but okay. I learned so much, and something just clicked with me that day. And so I used all of the strategies that I could think of from this workshop to really reflect on my own life and teaching practices and my professional growth or lack of professional growth, and made the decision to go back to school. I did some research, and I wanted to be the best teacher I could be. And through that research and in talking with people and collaborating ideas for what I could do to be a better teacher, it was really obvious that in order to be a high quality teacher and provide high quality services, I needed to go back to school and get a better education than just workshops in my community. And so I started that journey. In 2013, I got my first degree, which was my associate's in early childhood education and family studies. And then when I was able I went back and worked on my bachelor degree, which should be completed by June 1st of this year. Because of this education, I feel I'm more intentional in my teaching. I seek out opportunities to learn and grow through collaboration. My student outcomes have improved. I think I'm providing higher quality services to my families. I think I'm a better advocate for students. And I think I'm just all around a better educator and colleague. And that's how the strategies that I use for reflection and what that has done for me. Question 5. Briefly describe an issue that might be the focus of current or future advocacy efforts and explain why advocacy is the hallmark of professionalism in the early childhood field. I think when people think of advocacy, they think these big, grand ideas. And I know that I used to, before coming back to school, that I wasn't a lawmaker. I wasn't a bigwig with some company with a lot of money who could make changes and influence people. Advocacy can be on a really big level, but it can also be on a small level. And I think that when we can advocate to advance equity in our profession for children, for families, that we have a responsibility to do so. I also find it to be a privilege. I feel privileged that I can do this for children and families, that I can advocate for something that I think these families need. And recently, I'm very data driven, so I don't advocate unless I see a need and a way to solve something and use research and data to come to that decision. So you may have heard in the news lately that there was a possibility of the Head Start program being eliminated in the next budget. And I'm a Head Start teacher, and I feel very strongly about providing high quality services to children and families, which Head Start does. It provides short-term health services, family services and resources, and high quality education and daily meals to over 800,000 children across our country. I feel very strongly that this program works, and I use data and research to have come to that conclusion. Not only have I seen it with my own eyes, I look at things like Perry Preschool Study, great example of a long-term study of high-quality education and the benefits of it. And through that study, it was determined that high-quality education when children were young, those children had a better chance of graduating high school, going on to some type of higher education, less teen pregnancy rate, less depression, less chance of long-term health problems such as type 2 diabetes, less incarceration rates. Those parents had higher income than their peers who did not go get a high quality education when they were young. And that's just something that I felt like I needed to advocate for, was for Head Start to stay open based on all that data and research that I could find. So knowing that I was not in a position to, I didn't feel comfortable like with all these lawmakers, I didn't know what to do. And so I asked around and was told there were some petitions I could sign. What an easy thing for me to do, to sign petitions advocating for Head Start to survive this next budget. And so I signed the petitions. I also learned that I could call and leave messages for my representatives in Congress and my state representatives who could advocate for this. And so I did those things. I emailed them, I left voicemails for them, and then I shared that information with my colleagues, who some of which were as surprised as I was to find out we could do something so simple to help advocate. And so we're still waiting on the budget to be passed as of today when I make this interview. So far, Head Start has not been eliminated, although a lot of jobs have been eliminated, offices have been shuttered and not reopened, and I hope that Head Start survives. But it is my responsibility to continue to advocate for these high quality services for children and families. Thank you so much for having me today. I am excited to have met with everyone, and I hope to be hearing from you soon. I appreciate the opportunity to interview for this position. I am very interested in it. I hope you guys all have a great day. Thank you.